Alright, today we have a very nice game of 60 Grassy where Nevets, as usual, tries to copy me um, and takes a book that's strong based off its side high potential. So there's really two classes of books on 60G. One basically optimizes for getting control first, or set up first on the side rather, and then making your way top because your setup is so strong. And the other one is just having top control and utilizing that map, having all that map space to yourself to your advantage, and just kind of choking out your opponent. So Neves did a risky play here. He assumed I didn't have BFTP, and I'm experimenting with books right now that don't. So he made the right assumption, and he got lucky as usual. But there's two types of plays you can make when you do a BFTP like this. One is the Pixie one, and the other is just doing it with sides. I usually don't even BFTP myself. Here, if I'm taking a book that has like double aerials and I want to go on the side, I usually stay top that second turn. Here I'm running a standard shock shield book, but thing is I'm not taking flash, I'm not taking BFTP. Instead of flash and BFTP, I'm taking totem and ice castle, aura as well. So I feel like if you want to forego flash and BFTP, for sure you have to take a tower, just in case you get trapped and you need to tower out. Even then it can be risky, but I think this combination of totem and tower can substitute for that, for not having a BFTP and flash, which I think is actually pretty cool. So here I saw that he used Ray on, my swarm. So I was like, okay, I'm free to summon a totem now. He has Gargoyle as well, which tells me, at this point I don't know if he has bones or not, but it tells me that basically by having Gargoyle and aerials like this, your book is missing some top level control, top side control spells. So he opts to forward seed me again. That's fine. I got my Pegasus stuck here, unfortunately. As I was trying to move it down, it's kind of a thing that happens sometimes. Your shit gets stuck, but it is what it is. So here I opt to keep a totem here so that I can get freed. And BFTP, not taking BFTP, here's the thing about it. I think you need a tower, totem, or flash, at least two of those three, if you don't take BFTP. There's just too many instances like you saw here where I would have to maybe flash or TP out, or in this case, if I don't have flash, just TP out. I'm just wasting a turn. So having that turn efficiency with either totem or BFTP where you don't have to waste a turn is pretty critical. So yeah, I popped the SS. The only reason I pop SS, the times when you should pop SS, is when you think that essentially you can actually use your SS. Really, a lot of people just pop SS, but they only get to use one charge or no charges at all. So here he revealed bones. So now I know, okay, he's running some double aerial mix. Aura is nice for me because it helps me kind of postpone his stall. So I actually, in this book, I don't have aerials, I only have aura. And the thing with that is that I actually don't think aerials fit in well with SS books. Because when you think about it, when you're running an SS book, you want to be, engaged with them one-on-one in their face. You want to be close combat quarters. And on the flip side, when you're running aerials, you want to have that space separation like he has on me right now. Like with his book, it doesn't make sense for him to take shock shield, for instance. So yeah, because he's not going to be able to utilize it properly. It's either one or the other. You don't really take both and have it be viable. So here what I do is I ice shield. I try to set up so that I'm protected from the Skyray and Bones threat. And if I'm protected from those two spells and I'm able to get in his face with a shock shield, then I actually have the advantage there. Because shock shield does do well against Gargoyle as well. So yeah. And the aura does help me just kind of prevent that a little bit. I feel like these days in 60G you need, aura, either one of these. Just aura, pebbles, totem, maybe bones, but I think against side hiding, it's a little easier to prevent bones from being that effective. But aura, pebbles, totem, you need something. You can't just be greedy and take super top heavy control books and be like, okay, I expect to just be topside the whole time. That's just how I view the game. Others may view it a little differently, just be strictly top control, but Grassy has sides for a reason. So I put my Pegasus there. I'm fine with getting boned because at the end of the day, those bones make me cover, and I don't think my totem could be killed with a Skyray here. So eventually, those bones will free me up anyways. And at this point, I didn't even think he had flash because he has all these spells, right? So I'm like, okay, what doesn't he have? So when someone has like Gargoyle, they have Totem, they have double aerials, you gotta ask yourself, what don't they have? They're missing something. So I'm thinking like maybe Ice Shield he doesn't have. I know he has Tree. I don't think he might have Ice Shield. He probably doesn't have Tower either. He's taking a greedy ass book, which he usually does versus me. He has to. But here, I'm like, okay, I want to do a few things. I want to free my peg, but I also want to put pressure on him. So usually, when I put my totem there, you might think, oh, okay, he can Skyray that. But usually you want to force people into making a choice. That's what Great 60G is all about. Forcing people to make choices that they might not want to otherwise make. So he has to make a choice. Does he kill my 3 minions here? Or my 2 minions with the totem? And then, of course I still have the shock shield as a threat. And he has to contend with all that. So let's see what he does. Seems like he's sacking the totem, which I'm like, okay, well, I guess if we're in close combat like this, he might not feel like he need it. But he fucks up and doesn't kill my swarm, which is a pretty big deal for him. That swarm is very effective to have. So I'm like, okay, well, you did that. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut off your gargoyle. And I'm going to put you in a ship position where you have to now make a choice. You can't get free, or you can't get to the bottom side unless you TP. He uses another BFTP there, which is fine. Waste him away. He's only got so many spells, right? And now let's see what he does. And I guess I could have summoned my DK a little better, or at least moved my Pegasus such that I potentially could have trapped him or something like that, right? Or maybe prevented that a good tree. So I think I could have played that a little better in terms of my positioning. But the swarm threat is still there, and it's still going to be a pain in the ass for him to deal with that. I was thinking of putting it on the side because he just used tree, but I was worried about Ice Shield. So at this point, I was still thinking, oh, maybe he does have Ice Shield. But that was a mistake in and of itself, because I don't think he had Ice Shield. So I mispositioned my swarm here too, which was pretty bad. I put my totem there, hoping that even if he Skyrays it, I'll be fine. But I mispositioned the swarm pretty badly, where he can just kind of press up against it. I opt to just kill the gargoyle so that if he does TP down here with shock shield, I have a better shot at dealing with it. That TP. So here, he chooses to press up against the swarm. Thankfully, I don't think he has ice shields, so he has to like continuously deal with that swarm. But he does have Sky Ray, and he gets to get Sky Ray off. Um, but yeah, I want to say mispositioned the peg, but I guess the peg is fine since it still lived. But now I need to probably make this peg undead, because if I don't, he will, by killing his swarm and summoning another one. You see, because of that swarm misposition though, I could have put my swarm like over here if I didn't misposition it. Then it would have still been a threat, and then he would have had to choose between one or the other, but now he gets my swarm dead for free. One mistake he does do though is he basically puts his swarm here so that I can trap it. So I think he's thinking to himself, okay, he's gonna kill my swarm, maybe he's gonna SS it or some bullshit. But that wouldn't be efficient because, you know, I wouldn't really be able to use SS on him. It'd be a wasted turn. So I opted to just trap it. Unfortunately, I trapped myself. I can't really help it much because I don't have BFTP to kind of like get out or anything. But now he's in a good spot because he can basically kill my DK, and then he has a advantage over me in that sense, which is pretty bad for me, but it's not like game losing in any sense. I have one play here and I execute it. So I put the DK down there where he can't just charge straight at my DK and kill it. If he risks it and he fucks up and I'm able to just kill his DK, that's pretty bad for him. So there's a little XY action, and I'm like, okay, in that case, you're gonna engage with me soon, so I'm just gonna shock shield, and then he trees me there. I could do two things here. I could DK dig to the right and be like, okay, I really want to save my DK. I'm gonna have to eat a charge though. If I eat that charge, I'm gonna be at like, I don't know, 130, 140. I'm not gonna be in a good spot, but then I'm also not gonna be able to utilize my DK later on to like put pressure on him. So that'll be a wasted move. So my best move is actually just to TP and take the DK hit, and really just try to play for draw or something. Thankfully his swarm is still trapped. He doesn't have aura. Since I'm on the side now, his aerials aren't as effective, and I'm able to use my aura to basically, you know, chip away at his DK, and not be too worried about it. So we get that extra aura tick in, and this always like kind of puts pressure on them to think, okay, should I make my DK undead or not, or what's the deal? So I put a totem out because I'm like, well, with shock shield I can actually, if I can regain control at top, he doesn't have that much HP on him, on his prods. I could do pretty well for myself. So there's that. He gets his DK up, gets a peg out. He's in a pretty good spot, I'd say. At this point, I don't want to actually dig further because I'd probably be hurting myself if I dig further. So here, I actually don't know if that even would free it, but I know he could free it with a BFTP if he really wanted to. He drains his Pegasus. I don't think that's a great move. It's like a whatever move. I put my totem back to where it was, and I pop the SS so that he can't just charge blindly towards me. So here he's like, okay, I can't have that land open up like that. It's fair enough. Any trees? Really good tree on his end. I should have probably, when I hit his swarm with mine, should have probably put it a little more to the left because that actually complicates things a little for me. It's always these like little micro moves that decide some of these games sometimes. So I choose to forward seed his peg because he tried to block me off. You can either choose to flash it. Or do something, but puts me in a decent spot. And this is actually like, it's very frustrating, right? Like I can't free the swarm properly. My SS is ticking down. I can't use my SS right now effectively. It's all around a pain in the ass. So I choose to chip. Add his peg and DK. Which I guess is fine. So he chooses to make that undead. I can't actually stop it because it's at 55 now. Otherwise, I would have just pebble shotted it. And unfortunately, my swarm is still stuck. So at this point, I'm just like, fuck it. Like I need to free this shit. I don't care, because that swarm being stuck there is pretty bad for me. And I have to just let him get the free undead peg. Still trapped, so he still has to spend a turn saving it or freeing it. But yeah, could have probably put that totem a little better if I was gonna R it anyways. At least open up this land, but whatever. So now I'm thinking, always try to think like what part of the land would be advantageous to open up. Maybe slightly here, and you also want to prevent getting treed. At this point, I'm just kind of hoping I can whittle down his DK eventually, and I also want to position my totem so that it can't get swarmed. So he has to ladder that back up because he doesn't want that to be in a bad position. It's fair. Very fair move. Want to keep that low so it can just be S speed if necessary. He gets a gargoyle out, which I don't think is a good move. I think he's got too much going on there, to be honest. But he does have a strong top control over me. And my shock shield just went out. Since my shock shield went out, I was kind of like, what should I do? I need this piece of land blocked off still. It's like, okay, I'll just summon a spirit. Even if he decays down towards me, I can probably trap his DK later and move my way back up. I'll be okay. You know, it's not a huge deal for me. So this was an interesting play. I really don't know why, like what this is supposed to achieve. Clearly I wanted to open up this land myself, but this is not a very turn efficient play on his end, because that totem's just going to break this land eventually. I think there's better moves in this, basically. And here what I do is like, okay, once this gargoyle dies, he didn't, I think regardless of whether or not you morph it, it still turns to stone. But now there's like this extra piece of land here. And I could have probably positioned the SS like a little more here and forced it to kind of go around like this and potentially hit the Pegasus. So I could have played that better too. And potentially forced him to spend a turn killing the SS, because the Storm Spirit with a shock shield is actually pretty cumbersome. So he chooses to flash this. Now I have to opt, okay, do I want to trap it again? If I do so, he's just going to flash again, and that's not a good trade, right? So I'm like, okay, let me set up the trade, potential trade. And I was going to go in here in SS, but I was like, well, wait a second. What if I just bait him into body blocking me and then DK charging me? And I'm still above land. So since I'm still above land, I'm not necessarily worried about sinking. And if I don't sink and he does some like very risky play, you know, it's not going to be great for him. So here, he chooses to go for it, actually. He basically blocks me off here. And he chooses a DK charge. That's always very risky. He goes straight down. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't sink me. He puts up the draw because he knows defeat is in sight. I'm not gonna kill his or even touch his DK here. That's something someone might do. They might like shock bomb the DK or something. It's a complete wasted move because he has no way to get it up anyway, so it's pretty much a dead slot. Getting a swarm out is much better because you get to kill the tree, and then since the tree is dead, the totem can get free too. So it's pretty nice. Yeah, and then I'm gonna put the totem like right here, eventually break off all this land. I'm gonna Ice Shield, and I'm gonna summon a Pegasus because I don't want him to basically get out. I'm assuming he has no tower, so his book is vulnerable. Eventually, if I can get this swarm up over the top here, that'd be pretty advantageous for me. So I'm thinking like what I should do here. I have the HP advantage and I have Shock Shield up, right? So he has no way to get his DK out. So yeah. So he has one potential play here, and that is to flash me, but I positioned the swarm to kind of catch that, and thankfully it bounced to the left and didn't work. And yes, that was intentional. A lot of people, when I played this match, said, oh, that was just luck. No, that wasn't luck. That was intentional. But yeah, 60 Grassy, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching.